Welcome to my platform. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on your location or anytime you are meeting this video on YouTube. And if you like what I do here, please, after watching, subscribe, put on your notification bell, set it to all notifications so that you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. In this platform, we react to all forms of video. What we do before putting the video, analyze it, and we sit down there to watch it together with you. Then later we'll come to the comment section to talk about it. Of course, everybody is entitled to his or her opinion, but let us always do it constructively in the comment section. Like you can see, this is my t-shirt, this is my merchandise. If you like this
timing of the voting in an election like this, testing the beavers. What does this mean? Where do you think the issue came from?
Well, I want to say that the introduction of a new system for accreditation and the voting, which has not actually gone through a lot of tests running, so on, will actually have effects. And considering the fact that the election in Anambra had been an election that there was this issue of whether it will hold or will not hold and what have you. So there was tension everywhere. And the expectation was that INEC would deploy whatsoever they have as a new method and try to improve the credibility of the elections. And I think that is what the Commission was trying to do. And the course of doing that, the sensitivity of the device may have affected some of the things that they were out to do. So I think that they will need to have to look at the sensitivity of that device. Because I remember that when INEC introduced the car reader newly, there was that hiccup at the beginning. And the ICT and other hiccup in INEC had to put their heads together and look at how to improve on the device. So I will advise that we take this as a part of our learning process to improve our electoral system. The fact is that there is some element of sincerity on the side of INEC to improve our system. And let the Nigerian people go with that, so that after Anambra, we'll have a better run in the next election, maybe in Osun and Ekiti. Then before we get to the general election in 2023, we would have taken care of some of the hiccups that we have.
I wanted us to, from the control room, if we can get that device, in case for those who were not in Anambra or who are not in Anambra who do not know what the device looks like, if we can show them that it looks like a tablet. It has a point where you can use your fingerprint to swipe and get accredited. It also has a screen where you can see in the details. I don't know if the control room can show our viewers what that device looks like, what became somewhat kind of a problem for INEC today. But beyond the beavers is also the issue where Dr. Orji said that there was some disruption from people in some community that did not allow them to deploy early enough. What are your thoughts on that kind of situation? Okay, so that's the device there, Mr. Nwagu. On the failure of the beavers.
Well, I think it's exciting that we are shifting from the point of whether election would hold or not hold to the point where we are examining the administration of election. That for me is key. That first and foremost, I was making a joke. I said, I'm now hearing about public outcry that the beaver did not function in many places. I didn't know that we had public that would, cry in Anambra about it. So we're excited about that. But all of this
the bigger challenge is that INEC anticipated this, and that is why this election was christened an unusual election. Unusual because you knew that even in good times, there are elements who may want to disrupt the process. So what was important was what was the remedy mechanism that was on ground. And all the time that INEC was talking prior to this time, when it was talking about having done 12, 13, 10 of what's in its pocket, it kept talking about the fact that it had contingency arrangement should this, because you would have done several scenario building. So I think that what is important is the remedy that has come, which is to say, yes, there were disruptions. Let's extend the time, and I think that for me, it's fine. Like he said, you have a commission that is constantly working to improve the process, and that is very key. Every time is a learning curve, but technology can only enable a good process. Technology enables your good process. If your process is bad, technology will not enhance it. So we have a situation in which we also need to now interrogate the Commission's technology acquisition and adoption platform. It's not interrogated. You know, you had 87 polling units in Isoko South 1 Federal Constituency, where we tested these beavers. And then we are taking it wholesale into 5,000 plus polling units. I think there's something that is not sitting well there. We needed to have scaled up, you know, incrementally. And that's the way to go. So because technology, no matter how beautiful it is, will have hitches. And that hitch can cause you, you know, embarrassment, the kind in which we are trying to get out of right now. But whatever it is, we've made progress. We've come to that point where we are embracing technology, we are learning from it, we are failing, we are reworking it, and at the end of the day, we'll see how we improve.
There are legal implications because the law stipulates usually the window for an election, and when for some reasons you have to step out of that window, there are legal implications. Mr. Ipopo Martins John is here to give us from the NBA. I'd like you to also comment on the issue of the beavers that has failed INEC today and failed the people of Anambra State, partly in so many places. Did you see this coming? Are you disappointed?
I'm highly disappointed. Let's just say the way it is. I'm highly disappointed because prior to now, INEC has upped their game. I was in Edo State. The whole process was beautiful. In recent times, all the elections conducted by INEC have been an improvement on the past one. Then we're expecting something that if you cannot maintain that standard, please don't drop below that standard. And all of a sudden, there's a drop in that standard. When we were first hearing the reports from our various agents that the devices were not working, I was very surprised because we have not heard of INEC, the INEC device is not working for quite a long time. We're thinking it was going to be maybe in this localized area, but eventually it happens to be statewide. Now the question is, if they have tested, the problem is not INEC deciding to upgrade on the system of the device they are using. No. The problem is not knowing that there might be hitches like this and prepare for same. And I want to say that this election is one of the best times that INEC had the opportunity of finding their name in gold. Why? Because the people did not actually come out as expected. Now, if the people have come out as expected, there will be chaos, there will be fight. But because they were restricted in numbers in the polling units, from our perspective, the voting strength was about 10 to 12% of the total number of voters in the voters register. We do the comparative statistics of it. So assuming about 20 to 30% came out to vote, it will be chaotic. So I really do think, well, thank God they are adopting better technological devices, but it is not too good that they did not on their own, humanly, they didn't upgrade their own thinking process to envisage a situation like this on how to tackle it.
Well, I don't think that there is usually a backup, a manual backup, should the technology fail. Well, one of the assurances INEC gave for this election is that that device have the capability of working online and offline. That it has the data for every polling unit loaded on each of these devices, so it can work without having to go online, assuming it was a network problem. But this time around, I'm not sure that it was a network problem. It does look like it was a functionality or the issue of the functionality of the device, and also in some cases from some of the reactions that we have gotten about the usage of those who are administering it. So you want to talk?
We ended this go beyond the device, how it works or it was not working, to look at the deployment of the hacker staff. In the situation in Anambra, we need to know whether those persons that were trained for this election were the actual persons deployed. You know, in an election is a process, but the day election is an event. When the process is put in place and the event comes, it's just like a theater. You draw the curtain and the play has to go on. You know, so on the election day, in a situation where a trained personnel is off the beats, you may have a situation where the play has to go on, and persons now put on that beat may not have had the know-how of handling what is.
Do you think INEC shot itself in the foot? Because for almost 8 years, INEC deployed the smart card readers. And there's a manual process. Should the smart card reader fail, there is a manual means of backing it up. There is what they call the incident form that you have to fill. But I'm not sure there is an incident form in the case.
No, there's a challenge. We shut down the incident form because it created opportunity
manipulation.
For manipulation. But what is at stake here, in my view, is training and usability of the beaver. You found out that, yes, my brother was talking about the contingency arrangements that had to be put on the ground. They have what they call the technical assistance. But the challenge is that if you follow how this election came without, standing in for INEC, you will know that they have Anambra on ground had real challenges in terms of even having to work or just about 3 days in a week, running helter-skelter, their offices were under attack. All of those issues, you need to bring it to the fore. But the challenge, like we kept on saying, you don't lower the standard of integrity of the election because you are doing unusual things. Because the truth of the matter is that if those technicians were thrown in, and they were thrown in most places where they thrown in, many of them didn't even know what to do. That's what we saw where we went to. They came to the place, there is a lift that got spoiled in the hotel where I am. The man that came to repair it was reading manual, was now studying manual for a work that he was brought, which means he had no understanding of the work that he came to do. But like we need to appreciate that it's a learning curve for us as the people, it's a learning curve for INEC. But we need to understand and appreciate that for me, and I've continually told Yaga Africa in the statement when the beaver was introduced, we embraced it with cautious optimism. We said let's scale this. There was a lot of chest thumping after Isoko, the federal constituency, and I said it's 87 polling units, so you shouldn't beat your chest.
That wasn't a good test for statewide.
Yes,
you're talking about less than 50,000
and then
voters.
Here you have 5,000 polling units with voting capability of about 2.5 million people. But it's too close to call now in terms of to say what the overall percentage for voting in this election is, because with this extension, you need to be able to round it up to be able to say this is what the voting the number of people who came out.
But let's also look at what INEC said they experienced. and some of the reasons why they extended the time of the voting. They said in some communities they were disrupted. The exercise was disrupted. That's one of the reasons. Transportation difficult. That in fact, and this has happened severally. Now the issue, and this also brings the issue of contract and the breach of contract between the transportation companies, the association of the transporters that went and met with INEC. They were given money to execute the job, but they didn't show up. That's what INEC told us today. That some of these guys at the last minute, on the day of the election, they pulled out on INEC. What do you have to say to that?
I will agree with them because it also happened to us. We made arrangements for certain vehicles to convey us around, but eventually, in fact, some of us have to stay back in the hotels, but we didn't have a vehicle to move this morning, and they have to pull back just this morning. When we were calling them, where were you? They said we're no longer coming. So I will assume, because if I even were on the field, I was looking at youth corpers and those who were working as presiding officers. I actually had to deep in my heart to really appreciate them, because from the tension that was in the system, that was in the state, proud to now, it takes the heart of a lion to come out to say you want to conduct that election. Also, if INEC is saying that part of their personnel, that's adult personnel, pulled out, we must have to agree with them. But on the issue of community disturbance, to be very frank, we didn't hear such a community.
That's one of the things that Dr. Oji said. There were resistance in some community. Yeah. Apart from the resistance, is also disruption. And in fact, they were not allowed entrance by some officials.
There are Yaga observers who also were denied in a particular. But the big thing, INEC will need to learn expectation management. I think that if you understand that you are dealing with a sociological system, that there will be variables that you cannot control. The kind of optimism, optimism, infectious optimism that comes. Every question that was posed, there was this response that we have contingency. Because all of this, there is none that is not that is not known, that was not expected. But I listened to my brother who is in charge of information, and he said this was going to happen, but that they had already, they knew that there will be some of their staff who may not be able to deploy. And the expectation was that we will have backed it up with some of your own staff, because the outsourcing of conduct of election does not deprive those who we pay money to conduct election, because this is just to raise the trust level. That was why you now brought in all of these people. There are staff of INEC who are actually paid to conduct election.
But,
so if there are challenges, the expectation is that they will have been trained
to respond to
it, except if they themselves
are part of it. Mr. Kowak, I know you experienced, because I spoke to you, you had this kind of frustration where transporters pulled carpet off your feet on the day of election. The legal implication of that, Mr. Akpofo-Martin?
Well, it depends on what you mean by legal implication. The contract between the drivers, the transporters, and INEC, they will sort it out contract-wise, because there's a breach of contract. But the contract between INEC and the people, that's what he's saying, that they have given assurance that they have contingency plans.
But the question is, this is a civic responsibility managed by INEC. INEC could not do this all by itself. It contracted Transport Association and transporters to say, help us achieve this. And at the last minute, there was a breach of that contract. Is that a civil offense or a criminal offense in that?
No, it's not a criminal offense. It's a civil contract between transporters and INEC. So
could that be tantamount to sabotaging a national assignment, or an assignment that is of high importance?
That would be stretching the argument too far, because we all agree as we sit here that the environment itself did not call for confidence to come out. So if everybody has this
But why did you take the contract? Why did you collect INEC's money?
Yes, because...
Why did you say you were going to transport their... And on the day of the election, you failed to show up?
Let me finish.
Because I think it goes beyond breach of contract. It goes beyond...
No, I will not agree. What was... We were not there when the terms of contract were entered. Probably the transporter might have raised all these issues, and they assured them that before then, the security will be tight or things will be better. But they did not see appreciable improvement in the security system. And they had to pull out. And they didn't even pull out yesterday or 2 days before. This morning, that is to say, overnight, they assessed the situation and they came to the conclusion that it's not safe to come out.
No, but Mr. Elkowa, you have experienced this kind of thing before.
Yes. I think I will look at it as a bit of sabotage on the side of the transporter. We've had these situations where people just think of what they can get from the system, not what they can put, what they can bring to the system. People just think that's okay, it's part of my national cake. I pick up the money, you have a contract to deploy a bus. On the day of the elections you put out, you did not even give the commission a period, to pull out so that the commission can make a contingency plan. He has already laid out that this number of persons will go on this bus, and immediately 1 or 2 is out. You are now putting that process in jeopardy because people cannot move. So I think that we should look beyond people not just looking at the security situation.
I don't think it's just a breach of contract. I think it goes beyond that.
Sabotage that system.
Yeah, because now what you have done is that it's going to cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to prosecute an election. So when you pull out, not because of a mechanical problem, or you not just 1 or 2 vehicles, several of those vehicles.
It's a contractual
I think the prevailing conditions that necessitated others discharging this responsibility exist for the same people who now will hoist this regime of excuse about insecurity. Those who, because it's not as if the vendors all on the because it's a union. There's a union that has control over this.
Yeah.
So this union, some of their members, in spite of whatever we are talking about, discharge their responsibility. And in some places, some did not do that. And my worry is that this union has become very, whether it's 2019, whether it's 2014, their service delivery, has always had this challenge. So in dealing with them, we had, I think, at some point, we had talked about what you must be thinking around. If not these folks, what can we do?
Yeah.
Because we can't continue to face this.
I remember there was a time that we even had a conversation. Yeah. Instead of using this guy, who may not think that there is a high level of importance attached to whatever they are doing. Yeah. There are more established transport companies.
That's what I'm saying.
We had that conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
So these guys, they behave like as if they don't care.
Start determining the results of the elections. That results will now be look at whether he has met up with the provisions of declaration. And if he does not make up with the provision of the declaration, you will still have elections that will be all inconclusive to conclude the elections. So the time is still there. That period of inconclusive elections is still part of the election.
But they did say that they are going to go ahead with collation where the results are ready.
That was the information I have been seeking for. That I've just clarified. But what I saw was an extension. Yeah. But some social media report was saying till tomorrow. But now that it has been clarified that it is not till tomorrow, it is open-ended. I think it is really not good. We are likely going to run into some legal issues or some. Yes, because
it may not be open-ended. The fact is that after there may be collation of results. If that collation does not meet the declaration, there will now be an extension. That extension is what you may call.
Where I'm disagreeing is that there must be a time frame for voting to stop.
I think the statement of Dr. Oji is very clear. They are going to assess, which means that there has to be another update.
Yeah.
So that assessment will take place when they actually determine the number of polling units where this disruption took place. So we're expecting a further update. But what is important is that we do know that disruptions made because of the late opening, there is now an extension of time. So at the end of that extension of time, you are then going to assess generally if they are satisfied that the requirement of the law has been satisfied. They will make a call. There is no, it happened in Bayelsa. Okay, so because the challenge is that there is nothing that is happening that is new. The terrain, the Nigerian electoral topography is almost the same.
Anambra State.
Thank you so much for watching this video together with me. Like I said before, if it is your first time of coming across my YouTube channel and you like what I do, please subscribe, put on your notification bell, share this video, leave your comment in the comment section. You are free to criticize, but let us do it always constructively. Remain blessed. I appreciate your massive support and I love and cherish each and every one of you. Until I meet you again in my next video, for now, we say bye-bye.